in Port Allen. I'm in Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame studios, and as always, we're presented by L'Auberge Casino. And I got to tell you, today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about LSU football, as it has been the topic of conversation in Louisiana for the all week long. People have been reacting to what's going on with LSU football. Million questions. Lots of people wondering what's predictions on the season and that sort of thing. And I'll tell you, Tommy, right now LSU football's in a bad way. They're banged up. We had the Coach O press conference yesterday. Left tackle, right tackle out for this game, and who knows what the future of the offensive line looks like. Ed Ingram was very candid and open today, not in a negative, positive way, but it was a breath of fresh air to actually have a player or a coach actually tell it like it is, as opposed to all the BS you get. But today on a Zoom call with the media, LSU offensive linemen talked about how they were out of shape. They didn't know what to do with some of their assignments. They admitted, Tommy, that the change in coaching staff on the offensive line at the beginning of the summer has caused some of this confusion. It was a very candid, honest conversation. You got a new offensive line coach that's caused problems. You got an offensive line that, for whatever reason, wasn't in the best of shape. You've got a new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator that looked like they were rookies. How the hell did I bet on LSU minus 2.5 is what I want to know.
Well, Ronnie, you know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like to me they didn't do a lot of work in August, okay? If they're out of shape, they can't get a play in, and this, that, and the other. That tells me in that fall camp and them 3-4 days in Houston, what the hell were they doing? I mean, were they playing video games? They certainly weren't preparing for a Pac-12 opponent. They were a slight favorite. I'm like you. I really thought they would win that game and separate going away in third, fourth quarter. Man, it's fair to ask the question, what the hell did they do in August in preparing for the season, especially when Ed Ingram, guy that's a veteran guy, in and out, we know the story, says we're not in shape. We're not in shape. Is that what he said? After all the praise to Coach Moffitt for getting this team in strength and conditioning shape for football, and they had 2 scrimmages and they had a mock game with LSU. I think they got moved indoors due to weather, but that might have been the day they loaded up and bust over to Houston. And then they went over to Houston with nothing but football to do. And now time will sell us, Ronnie. If UCLA goes 10-2 this year, wins the Pac-12, then that loss maybe not quite as bad. Looking back on it, like last year when we lost to Mississippi State, that was a bad loss because State's quarterback lost his job 2 weeks later, and they won 4 games. So the important thing now, you got to turn the page. They got to fix a lot of things. As Coach O said, there's a lot of things to fix. They better fix them, and they better be fixed for Saturday night against McNeese. I don't think McNeese can beat LSU, even if LSU plays poorly. But they've got to try to score 80. They got to try to throw a shutout. I mean, they got to play like every play is going to be the season or not. That whole play the next play thing. I mean, I had a fan here at Court Street Cafe earlier who was a big fan of what we do here with Sports Shores Daily. He's good friends with Buzzy and Walt Lamar, and he lives over here. He said, man, I'm just like can't believe what I saw. A lot of people are in that category.
Well, look, there's nothing that LSU can do over the next couple of games that's going to change the perspective of anybody on this team. I mean, whether they, win by 80 or pitch a shutout or whatever the case may be, there's nothing that LSU is going to be able to do until you go to Mississippi State on the road. And if you can go there and win and play a crisp one and dominate, then maybe people will say, okay, they've used the month of September to be improve as they go into October. But quite frankly, you might as well just tune in to the Mississippi State game, take these next couple of weeks off, and just get by, hope that your players can get healthy. But now all the red flags I guess we were too close to the sun. The problem when you're when you're in the town of the Saints, so you're in the town of LSU, is you hear over and over again all the bullshit about how how better we are and how the off season's going great. And this guy's looking fantastic at practice. And it's always our human nature to want to be positive and believe in our team and all that kind of thing that we love and care about, whether it's the Saints or whether it's LSU. It seems like anytime you get a coach, it's always a great hire. Anytime you get a transfer, it's always the right fit. Your recruit, your 4-star is better than somebody else's 4-star. And so I think that, we got caught up in that, even though the nation, from an outsider's perspective, kept watching that line, Tommy, go from 4.5, which we thought was going to be bigger. And then when UCLA dominated Hawaii, that line went all the way down to 2.5. And we kept thinking, that's crazy. But the outside world saw with a clear mind, common sense. They've got 2 new coordinators that haven't ever been coordinators. They've got a sophomore quarterback that's or technically a freshman quarterback, thanks to COVID, who's only making his 3rd start. And Miles Brennan isn't available. And they saw that this is a defense that was terrible last year and has a lot of the same people back. They saw that with a clear mind from the outside perspective. We were in the inside drinking the red Kool-Aid, and the rest is history. What happened, happened.
I think your summary is very accurate. We got too close to the sun. I like the way you put that. And, even Kirk Herbstreit, he bragged about it, but he picked UCLA to win that game. Some other national people did. And I remember scratching my head like, what are they looking at? Well, they had a better picture than we had right here in Louisiana. And because I was on it for a month. Like, they're going to win this game. I had people come up to me when I was having a cold beer. Say, what do you think? Oh, man, you pay off your mortgage with this one. I was all over it, like both feet in, all in, as they say. And I was dead wrong. I was incorrect. And I'm like you. I'm to tag on to what you just said. They got to show me something, but not against McNeese. Although I said they got to score and throw a shutout. But I got to see when they go to play Mississippi State, who had a major comeback and beat a good Louisiana Tech team the other day. I got to see what happens then, because that's in Starkville. The week after that, Auburn. Yeah. Now, I know Auburn whipped up on the air, but they're confident. You score 60 with a new coach. You're confident. Quarterback had good numbers. TJ Finley, I don't think, got in the game. I didn't check the box score.
Yeah, no, he did. He actually got late in the game. He was 2 for 5, and he had a sneak in the end zone for a touchdown.
All right, but anyway, so it's I don't think McNeese can beat him no matter what, but you can't say that never say never is true here. Central Michigan is a little better than McNeese. They played in some big stadiums, big crowds, and they played some big time teams, and they're better than McNeese. I know that. Now, we'll see. LSU's got to worry about LSU, as Coach Orgerons said. They got a lot of things to fix, and they better be working 24 hours a day to fix them.
Yeah, Missouri beat Central Michigan by 10. So, quite honestly, that's the bar. LSU's got to beat Central Michigan by more than 10 because that's what Missouri did. I thought Ed Ingram being very candid today with the media about the problems on the offensive line were very telling. And, right off the bat, obviously the new hires, red flag galore, right? Your offensive line looks atrocious. Your offensive and defensive coordinators, did a poor job, with their play calling and preparation of their team and whatnot. So right off the bat, these new hires, which have Ed Orgeron's stamp on it. He was bragging about how he actually did meet with these people in person, as opposed to last year he hired them without. And and we know the Canada hire wasn't his hire; it was done up over his head. So this is all Coach O, and so far it's been a failing grade through the first game. And now to hear a veteran player say, "Hey, yeah, once we made that coaching change on the offensive line, it hasn't come together yet." That's serious.
Yeah, it's very serious. It's very alarming. Well, like you said, the red flags are like whipping at full speed right now. I like Craig's comment there. Most coaches, okay, not just Coach O, you got to go by what they do, not what they say. Okay, they talk to a lot of media people, the teleconference and the media and the Zoom. They get a lot of questions, so they got it down pat. They know how to answer without saying anything. So you gotta kind of go by what they do. And what the next time you're going to know what they do is 7:00 Saturday night. That's the next measuring stick of what do they do. and that's going to be important, albeit against the McNeese State Cowboys and Ed Orgeron's son Cody is the quarterback. And, there's some stories there, but the bottom line is you got to look at LSU's offense, defense, special teams, the body language on the sideline, body language of the coaches. There's a lot of things to be examined, and we got to see what do they do. I don't care what they say between now and kickoff. What do they do?
Well, we'll be at LeBear's Casino Inside Stadium Sports Bar this Saturday from 10 to noon. The whole team, Sports Shorts team, will be there. Joel Davis, Derry Beckwith, myself, Tommy Chrysan. Who knows? Maybe even Buzzy will come have a cheese fry. We don't know if he's going to show up or not. But we'll be at LeBear's from 10 to noon. Great place to come by, watch game day, watch the early games, eat some lunch, and then – hey, you don't even have to pay to park. You can catch a shuttle over, or you can get a buddy or an Uber or whatever, and then go back by after the game. But we'll talk plenty more, of course, on Saturday about McNeese. Although I got to tell you, with everything that's going on, and I know it's been a terrible week for Coach O, between the hurricanes that affected his hometown and his mama being displaced and everything else, to his son losing to a Division II school in West Florida, to LSU being upset and Coach O officially being on the hot seat. It's still I'm sure he's going to take some time to enjoy this week, because it's never going to happen again, an opportunity for him to coach against his son. Well,
that's a special thing, Ronnie. It's happened, when you get to coach against a son or for a son. We've seen it across the world of college sports. It's a special thing, and it's a memory they'll have forever. They'll be able to say, hey, Cody gets that quarterback. My Cowboys in Tiger Stadium. My dad was a coach on the other sideline. When the game starts, it'll be football. But as soon as the game's over, it's a father and son again. But it is a unique thing, and it's a pretty cool story. I just wish a lot of the other stories weren't flying around.
Let's talk a little bit about the trade that went on today. The Saints picking up a defensive back, Bradley Roby. Much needed depth at that position. What's your reaction? It makes sense now why the Saints were willing to, get rid of Murray, because they needed that cap space to pull off this Roby trade.
They cut the running back because they needed more than a backup running back. You need a cornerback, Roby, from the Houston Texans, that could get out there and play right away. But Rodgers is going to put the ball in the air Sunday afternoon. We know that. So Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis, they're doing what they got to do to try to give this team the best chance to win this game on Sunday. Heck, it's not that far away. I guess they go travel Saturday, and they're going to get over there and get to Jacksonville. And, Green Bay's going to be ready to go. The Saints have to be ready as well.
By the way, Roby not available to play in the first game. He was suspended 6 games for performance-enhancing drugs. He did the last 5 last year, so he's got to sit out week 1. He'll be available week 2. From a Texans perspective, you say, well, why did a former first-round pick, 2014 out of Ohio State, why did that guy, why did they trade him? Because they just signed him to a 3-year deal before last year. Well, they obviously weren't enthralled enough. They're going to save $19 million in cap space by making over the next 2 years by making this trade to the New Orleans Saints. So this was really more of a cap move than anything, according to one of the coaches with the Texans. They feel comfortable enough with the other guys that they have. Denver Broncos took Roby as a first-round pick in 2014, another Ohio State guy. I think there's 6, 7 Ohio State guys on the Saints regular roster and practice squad. It's crazy. It's kind of like the LSU to the Patriots or something like that. That's how the Saints are with the Ohio State Buckeyes. But this was a guy who was rated, in all the different charts and things as a top 25 cornerback in the NFL last year.
Yeah, he was. And, it's a good get for the Saints, even though he can't play till week 2. And, Ronnie, a lot of deals, especially made this close to the season, involve salary cap considerations and financial reasons. That goes for all 32 teams, not just the Saints. So, it's something they think makes them a better football team. Like, they're trying to get the best 53 guys out there to win a football game. Now, he can't play this week, but he'll be on the sideline. He'll be able to learn a little bit about the system and about some of his teammates and defensive coaches, and we'll see what's up.
Well, it's a good thing he gets to sit out week one because they take on Aaron Rodgers in week one. So he'll be the hero coming in there on week two after Aaron Rodgers torches the Saints secondary over in Jacksonville. He'll get a chance to take on Carolina Panthers on the road in week two. That's a much better matchup, I think. By the way, no word yet on the compensation. I was checking just a minute ago. I don't think the Saints have released or anybody's released what the compensation is going to be for the Saints. Clearly, they'll have to do the cap dance at the end of this year with his contract for next season. But at least for right now, Lattimore and Roby on the other side looks to be a pretty good combination.
Well, time will tell. As you always say, let's let it play out. But it sounds better than what the alternative.
By the way, Schilling playing a weatherman for us. Looks like Jacksonville's forecast is improving. No storm issues now. Talking about that earlier in the week, it did look like it was going to be raining over there. And, of course, I would think outside in the rain, that would benefit the Green Bay Packers, who are used to kind of playing in those bad conditions as opposed to the New Orleans Saints. This week, tonight, actually, is going to be Coach O, his 1 hour radio show from TJ Ribbs. Curious to see what he says. Usually he doesn't say much in those things, but it's an opportunity for him to get, to see what the reaction is by the public and to see how he reacts, because we know he's an emotional guy, Tommy, and we know that, reports are some things off the field that, he can lose his cool from time to time. He's done it over the years. He might have done it even as recently as some reports say down in Grand Isle. This has got to be a tough – it can't be pleasant over there. I got to believe Coach O's getting on not really the players as much as he's getting on the coaches.
I think you're right, and I think he's going to try to be positive tonight at TJ Ribbs on Acadian. He was positive on a radio show yesterday morning, but he's also going to state that there's some things to fix, and we've met and we're working on it. We're going to fix it. He's going to give you that speech in so many words, and there'll be a couple. If they let a couple people in the audience ask questions, which typically they do, we'll see what kind of question might fly. Hopefully they don't screen it out of there. But Coach O is going to try to make it a positive thing, because then they don't have to fool with the media anymore till after the game, or maybe one press conference tomorrow. But, and I'd be curious to see if he talks about the things that Ingram said. That would be something you want to pay attention to tonight.
Well, I think he's smart enough and he's got enough good people around him where he's not going to single out a player. In this day and age, man, with social media and everything and access, you can't really – you can urge players and you can tell them, or you can make them – you can maybe not make them available to the media if you think a guy is just going to, go off. In college, they're able to keep a hold on access to players and interviews and monitor a little bit of what they say. Obviously, in the NFL, you can't at all. But nowadays, more and more players, Tommy, are being more open and honest. And with NIL and everything out there, they've got their own brand and their own image and their own things to look out for now more than ever. Guys are not holding their tongue as much, and especially with the transfer rule, I can transfer and pretty much be eligible right away nowadays. Like, it's harder to bottle up thoughts and comments by players.
And that comes from the top, okay? I mean, there's some teams who you don't hear all that stuff from the players, not just one. And then the buck stops when Coach Orgerons' desk with that. He needs to call them all into that meeting room and say, all right, guys, if you get asked a question, you answer to the best of your ability, and let's be positive and talk about how our focus is on beating McNeese right now. I mean, but if it gets away, because these coaches, a lot of coaches, not just Coach Orgeron, they feel like they gotta let these kids be kids and let them express themselves and let them be them, and wear the different color shoes and do the tweet thing, and they think they gotta be them because they don't want to lose them. They don't want them to mail it in or crawl up in a shell and not be productive. So it's a fine line, but I think there are a lot of programs out there where you don't necessarily get all this stuff.
So word came out today from LSU that they're going to have 12 different stations, vaccination stations, where you got to show your card, whether you've had a vaccine cards, which is on your LA Wallet app. You can just download the app for free. It takes a second, and it's automatically there if you've had a vaccine, or you've got to show some sort of paperwork or whatever that shows that you've had a test in the last 72 hours. I'm curious to see how LSU handles it. It sounds as if, but the fact that they put out a press release and that they're going to have 12 stations all around the stadium on your way in to kind of get checked out. Maybe they give you a wristband. Maybe they put a stamp on your hand, whatever, to say that you've already been checked. But, Tommy, they said the same thing at the Rose Bowl. And I was there in L.A., and nobody checked anything. Nobody checked the vaccination card, went through the gate, had my stuff ready. People around me had their stuff ready, their phones ready to show. Nothing. Nobody asked about a vaccine. I did wear the mask to walk into the gate. As soon as I got through the gate, I took the mask off. Probably 80% of the people did the same thing. Nobody said anything. Nobody was going around saying, put your mask on, whatever the case may be. I was very surprised, glad, but I was very surprised considering you would think California would be much tougher and have a million rules versus Baton Rouge, but it seems not to be the case.
Well, I would say this. If you plan on going to the football game, go to lsusports.net and read through all the rules, the regulations, the vaccine spots. You're going to get the wristband so that you're prepared to follow the rules if, in fact, they're being enforced. And then how long until people are selling fake wristbands? That's a topic for another day. But I'm just saying, check it out before you go out there. So you got to get out there and go, hey, what do I do? Where do I go? Get you a plan when you go out there. Be patient. Know that you're going to have to go to this vaccine center before you go in, get in line to enter the stadium. And follow the rules, I guess, is the advice from Sports Shorts Daily.
Yeah, Rachel's saying, hey, over in LA, they have a higher vaccination rate, so therefore they're not as, I guess, concerned. They're not having the percentage of the spikes like we are here, where there's less people vaccinated in the state of Louisiana. Yeah, we're not going to go down that whole road of vaccinating. I've been vaccinated. I think you should. Rapides Regional Medical Center Hospital up in Alexandria, which is a big sponsor of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, they put out the little daily, how many COVID patients they have in their hospital, what percentage of them are vaccinated versus unvaccinated. Today, the number was up to 66 patients in their hospital that have COVID. And I think, that's a pretty high number for them. Most of the time it's been the 40s, 50s, maybe around 60. 66 is the highest number that I think I've seen from them. I'd have to check that. But 60 of the 66 patients in their hospital are unvaccinated. And so, I know that I've heard the concerns about, it hasn't been tested enough, and who knows, maybe I'm gonna have a growth on my left nut, 10 years from now or something like that. I mean, I get all that, but right now, for the now, if you don't want to be bothered with showing a card when you go to an LSU game, or you don't want to have to worry about wearing a mask or showing a card to go to a restaurant in New Orleans or something like that, or whatever the case may be, or get tested or not get tested, or 60 out of 66 patients at Rapides Regional Medical Center are unvaccinated. So clearly, vaccines keep you out of hospital. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. That's a fact, Jack. Now, I might have a tumor the size of a grapefruit one day on my neck. We'll deal with that. But for now, we don't have to go to the hospital. PK, tell us about Court Street Cafe.
Well, breakfast, lunch, dinner here, 805 Court Street in Port Allen. They got a nice patio. The weather cools off a little bit. They got ribeye special tomorrow night, Thursday night. All you can eat fried fish on Friday night. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. I've had it all here. You need to check it out. A little bar right behind me. Had a guy earlier sat at the bar, ate his club sandwich, and got him a little cold one. And he visited. Another guy was sitting there. So you need to check it out. It's only 2 minutes the other side of the bridge, or 805 Court Street in Port Allen. A great way to keep up is connect on Facebook and Instagram. Court Street Cafe, Facebook, Instagram in Port Allen. They put out the lunch specials, the dinner specials, and anything else that might be going on. And we're happy to be here once a week. And again, today some people showed up to say hello. That's pretty cool. But do check out Court Street Cafe in Port Allen.
He's Tommy and Ronnie. We'll be back, 9 a.m. this Friday morning from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. We'll get into a whole lot more about the games on Saturday. And TK will have his picks. He's been red hot the last couple of weeks. So Tommy's going to give you a couple of picks that are going to win you money. That's going to come up this Friday morning at 9 a.m. So if you're a gambler, know a gambler, make sure you like and share this post and this video. And you definitely want to do so Friday morning when we'll be at Tremonti's, because TK's been winning some folks some money, particularly those Alabama first half lines. Get on it, folks. For Tommy and Ronnie, thanks for watching Sports Source.